Hi, and welcome to my Tuesday Talks. Today we're going to talk about macros, what they are, which ones they are, and how important they are for our body. So this is part 1 of 2. So let's get started. Okay, so what are macros? Macros means big, large. So they're the nutrients that our body needs in large amounts. And through the digestive process, the macronutrients are broken down into basic building blocks. And those are the carbohydrates, the proteins, and we have fats. Those are the 3 macronutrients. The micronutrients are the ones that the body needs in small amounts, and we have the vitamins and minerals, but that's for another talk another day. So then these building blocks, they're absorbed by the body and they're delivered to the cells to support the body's many functions like that we have to perform, or the body performs every day. So let's start with the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred source of energy, and very important, for the brain, carbs are the only source of energy, and for the red blood cells too. So when we go into really low carb, because we think, let's take away the carbs and everything is going to be better and all my goals are going to be met, you're doing like damage to your brain, and that's why we get headaches and we get tired and we get grumpy, because that's the only source the brain has for energy. They're carbs, so very, very important to keep in mind. So the carbs are also stored for energy, and in case of the fiber, so they're like carbs, normal carbs, and there's the fiber that is a part of the carbs. So the carbs are stored as energy, and that's what we mainly use, like when we work out. That's where the first place where the body grabs, like to be able to perform the functions. So carbs are that main source of energy, and fiber helps improve the digestive health and the cholesterol levels too. So most of the carbs are stored as glycogen, and that glycogen is that source of energy that we're talking about. So, and the fiber passes through the body undigested, because the body doesn't have the proper enzymes to break down and digest the fiber. So the fiber that's very good to choose foods that are high in fiber, because this is not digested, it just kind of passes through and stays the same. It gives us that sense of fullness, so we don't overeat, and it helps too with our digestive system, like to have a better digestion. So while other macros or carbs contain 4 calories per gram, so every gram of carb that you consume is equal to 4 calories. But the fiber, which is part of the carbs, the fiber only contributes to is only 1.5 to 2.5 calories per gram. So when you consume fiber, it's going to make you fuller and you're going to be consuming less calories. So that's another one of the benefits of having a high fiber diet. The fiber moves slowly through the stomach and it makes us feel full, which is what I was talking about. And also it helps keep our cholesterol, our levels down, which is very important health-wise. So once the fiber that is not absorbed, right, it's excreted out of the body through the feces and decreases our cholesterol levels. So digested and absorbed carbohydrates that are not immediately used for energy. So let's say we consume carbs, we work out, we do our day-to-day. If we consume more than we need, that excess of carbs that are in the body and that are not needed for anything because we just had enough for our activities that we did that day, what the body does is it stores it in the liver and in the muscle as glycogen. So approximately 90 grams of the carbs go to the liver, and a minimum of 150 grams go and get stored in the muscles to as a glycogen to be used as energy in in training. But if we do go over what, okay, we use it immediately, the body stores it for, a next workout. But if we still go over what the body needs, then that carb is turned into sugar and is turned into fat for long-term storage. So the body is like, well, I don't need it right now. I don't need it. I have enough in my muscles and I'm just going to keep it there and I'm going to turn it into fat for a very cold day. So it just keeps getting stored in our body as fat. So that's when the carbs are not good, but it's when we overeat them, when we go above what we need. So what are some foods that are high in fiber and they're really good carbs? So in the fruits is the apples, bananas, pears, and veggies. We have the broccoli, carrots, celery, sweet potato. Then in legumes, we have beans, peas, the grains. All the less processed, the better. So the whole wheat bread, the oatmeal, whole wheat pasta. And so good carbs are the whole grains, nuts, chia seeds, vegetables, and fruits. All those are into the carbs that don't be afraid of them. If we eat them properly in the good portions, which I'm going to talk at the end of this, then we should be fine. It's when we go over what the body needs that it becomes a problem. And what are bad carbs are the processed and refined foods and that are low in fiber. So those are the ones we have to avoid. Like what? White rice, sugary drinks, cakes, cookies, processed food, white bread, sugary cereals, and cocktails. So now let's move to protein. So proteins are the structural component of muscles, brain, nervous system, blood, skin. It's kind of what our body is made of. So, and protein serves a transport mechanism for iron, vitamins, minerals, fat. It takes all that to all the body, to all the cells to make them do their work. So proteins form enzymes that speed up chemical reactions too and help us fight antibodies. So when we're going to start to get sick, if we have good proteins and enough proteins in our body, it's going to help us fight infection too. In the situations of energy deprivation, let's say we don't have enough carbs in our body, enough glycogen stored in our muscles, then the body can break down the proteins and use them as energy. So how many calories does a gram of protein gives us? 4 calories, just like the carbs, 4 and 4. So proteins are built from amino acids. So the body can produce most of the amino acids. It produces them on their own. But there are between 8 to 10 essential amino acids that we have to consume in our diet because our body doesn't produce them. So animal proteins are those complete amino acids. They have all those that the body doesn't have or doesn't produce. Then if we eat chicken, turkey, meat, that animal protein has the complete set. So we're set, like if we eat meat. But if you're a vegetarian or you're more inclined to a plant-based diet, it's okay too. Plants don't have, like one doesn't have the whole, the 8 to 10 amino acids, but if you combine them with another one, then you can get all the amino acids you need. So for example, if you combine mac and the cheese, cereal and milk, rice and beans, then if by making those combinations, you get the full amino acids that the body needs. And unlike carbs and fat, the body does not store protein. Muscle tissues undergo continuous breakdown and resynthesis. So when we work out, like we have the muscle tears and the body gets that protein that we have and rebuilds the muscle. That's what it's what it uses to build itself. It needs the protein to build the muscles and the tissues. So it is really not stored as carbs are stored. So a portion of the protein is excreted in the urine and the other portion is converted to glucose or fat depending on the body's needs. So protein beyond what the body needs has the same effect as the carbs, like it's stored as fat. So it's not stored as, oh, I eat more and more protein, so I'm going to make more and more muscle. After a certain point, it just turns into fat, which is not what we want, right? So the best sources of protein are lean protein, leaner cuts of meat, low fat and fat-free dairy, and animal protein without skin, white meat, chicken or turkey, fish, and salmon. So that's what we need to choose. Plant sources, nuts, seeds, beans, soy products, and whole grains. So when we get to start talking about fat, fat is the most dense of the macronutrients. It provides 9 calories per gram. So that's why we have to be really careful of how we eat the fat. So our different types, the unsaturated fat improves blood cholesterol levels, eases inflammation, and is found in foods more so from plants like peanut, canola oil, avocados, nuts. The saturated fat is mainly found in animal foods, but all foods have a combination of the different types of fat. So in small amounts of saturated fat is not a big issue, right? The high in saturated fat is pizza, cheese, whole milk, meat products, cookies, and fast food dishes. So we have to be careful about not consuming or consuming very little of this kind of foods. And the trans fat, that's the one we need to stay away from, because that's comes from a process that tries to make the food last longer. So it's very, very processed and it's very, very bad for you. So when you check the labels, if you see partially hydrogenated oils, I'm not sure if that's how it's said, then you have to stay away from the kind of food, or if it says trans fat. So in the fat consumed beyond what is immediately needed. So fat is good. We need fat, right? We need the good fat, the unsaturated fat. But fat that is consumed more than the body needs, it goes to building like the cellulite and in that tissue and fat that is what we really, that extra that the body doesn't need. So it just accumulates in the cells. And it's not specifically a macronutrient, but water is very important, and we need to constitute 72% of the muscles. So we need to consume our water daily. Really fast, the general recommendations for carbs between 45 and 65%, protein between 10 and 35%, fat between 20 and 35%, and water half of your weight. In pounds, in ounces, that's how much you need to drink. So for part 2, don't forget to watch part 2. We're going to talk about how to understand how much of these macros we need according to our goals. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Keisha Space Fit Fun Style, for more fit tips and exercise tutorials and workouts. Have a great day. Bye.